What up, no? It is another Tuesday. This is Knockouts and Three Counts, and it's fight week. Holy hell, they gave me a microphone again to go talk about some fights. Go figure. But that's why you got to be in the building. November 23rd, Mitten Muay Thai, our sponsors of this fine show, are returning to Clinton Township, the Imperial House. And tonight we're going to be joined by one of the fights that's going to be on this card. And from the videos that I've seen on IG, if you ain't following Mitten Muay Thai, make sure you're doing the same thing. This fight looks like it's going to have fireworks, but I can show you a little bit of that better than I can tell you. So if you guys are in the Michigan area, make sure you check out our sponsors at Mitten Muay Thai and check this out and learn a little bit more about the two guys we've got coming on tonight, Joey Kalaj and James Aquaman Barney.
Who doesn't give a fuck.
I'll see you at the weigh-ins, pussy.
How tall is he? Like 5'5", 5'6"?
Kalaj brings unmatched technique, but Aquaman Barney is a finisher who pulls his opponents into the deep and leaves them gasping.
I'm gonna knock him the fuck out.
My goal this fight is to put him out.
The prediction is violence, a lot of blood.
Two fighters, face to face, everything on the line. This is MMT4.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby. It's the real deal, baby.
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up, no? It is another Tuesday, and like I said, it is fight week. Now, you guys had such rave reviews when we did this once before with Jesse Bazzi and Calvin Harbaugh for their fight for Lights Out Championship. So, since Mitten Muay Thai happens to be the fine sponsor of this show, we're going to run this back, but this time we're doing it with the kickboxing variety. We got the debut of two guys on the show. Welcome, Joey Kalaj and James Aquaman Barney. Appreciate y'all's time and appreciate you joining the show.
Yeah, anytime.
Oh, yeah, man. So let's start there as far as any, man. I mean, so for those of you guys who are watching, we're going to get to know each of these guys. I'm going to give each one of them a little bit of time to like speak their piece and get their shit in from a pro wrestling side of things. But to do that, we've got a fun way of how we're going to do that. I'm going to have you guys both pick a number between 1 and 50. Whoever's the closest to my number will go first. Corey, how the fuck are you doing on a Tuesday, dude?
Doing good, man. Came back from a little family vacation over the weekend. Well deserved. Been way too fucking long. Other than that, man, still kind of catching up, dude. I'm not used to some early flights, and we flew out at 5 o'clock and 4:30. So my ass is not used to that shit. Trying to catch up to the sleep schedule again, but other than that, man, I'm doing all right.
Look here, you got to go to Florida instead of being here in Michigan. I just
That's for sure. Yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm just still playing catch up. That's for sure.
All right. Well, I mean, both of you guys, Joey and James, man. Before we get into it, man, how are y'all heading into fight week? How you guys feeling?
No, I'm feeling great. Joey? I'm confident.
That's what I like to hear.
Good.
I like it. I like it. We're going to get a little bit more into that, but like I said, I'm going to have both of you guys pick a number between 1 and 50. Joey, you can go first. What number you got?
17.
All right. What do you got, James? What's the number going to be?
29.
James won. The number was 32. The number was 32. So it looks like we're starting things off with James over here. We're going to get to know him a little bit before we get into Joey's journey to the ring as well. So, without any further ado, man, I mean, first of all, this is the first I've gotten to see you in action. I know you're coming here from Kentucky and all that stuff. So, before we get into Mitten Muay Thai 4, tell me a little bit about your journey to the ring, how you got into the game. Are you planning to just do kickboxing or do MMA? Let the listeners and people watching know a little bit more about the Aquaman.
Man, I've been training since February last year. Walked into my first gym out in Colorado, believe it or not. I was living out there, working for a little bit. But, I got into Muay Thai because my best friend, man, of a few years, man, he passed away, and then I got real bad into the bottle, and I started drinking real bad. So I was leaning on that as a crutch just to blame myself because I was the last one to see him too before he passed. So, that shit kind of hurt. But it is what it is. Life happens. But I needed something to take that bullshit away from me. I needed to focus on something positive so I could be a better dad and shit. So I seen a boxing match when I was thinking about it. So I looked up fighting gyms near me, and it was Muay Thai, Colorado. I walked into that gym, and it was a weird thing, man. I never seen like kids and ladies and people laughing and shit with their feet off on the mat and shit. It was like some Bruce Lee movie shit. And, I'm from the hood. I grew up in Dexter and Davis in Detroit. So like it's different than what I was used to. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like it's a little different than what I'm used to, But I fell in love with it. It was different. I had my first sparring session. Of course, I got beat up. I got whatever it is. But then I started like learning more about fighting, learning more about everything. And then 6 months into my training, I was back here in Kentucky, and I took my first fight. And then I took another fight the next week. And, I was scared as fuck, but then when I got in there, and it was different. Like, fighting don't bother me. At first, it was like making the walk.
It's the lead up to it, dude. Once you're in there, you don't have a choice. Like, it's the lead up to it. Because it's like you get in your own head before you're going to walk out there. Like, I've told this story on the show a few times, but my first fight, we had 2 6-year-olds fought right before me. And the kid's mom pulled him out of the ring in the middle of the fight right before I was getting ready to walk out. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So, yeah, I definitely would agree. There's definitely a lot more nerves before you get into the ring than once you're in there. Once you get hit, that kind of wakes you up. Well, with that being said, I looked into your record a little bit. I see you've got a few kickboxing fights on the resume and all that stuff. Is kickboxing going to be your main focus, or are you trying to do MMA as well?
Man, see, I look at it like, a fight is a fight. It's different versions of fighting, but it's all just fighting, right? So like I train everything. I train jiu-jitsu. Like I posted a video yesterday because some dude tried to break in my house, and I beat the fuck out of him, and then I choked him out till he was asleep. And then like he was all bloody and shit. And then like I called the ambulance for him to get him some help.
That's messed up. You got beat up, and he called the ambulance to help.
You didn't even call the cops. You just called for an ambulance. Is that
they sent the cops. They sent the cops. They sent the cops. But yeah, I beat him up. I beat him up real bad. But it's just I'm just learning, bro. Wherever life takes me, all these fights I learn something. I fight all the time. I don't care who it is, where it's at. We fight. We do the damn thing. We get out, and it is what it is. On to the next, but. I recorded that video with the Mitten Muay Thai. I had just knocked the dude out at Impacto for his belt. I took his belt the day before. So, I'm just active, bro. I train all the time. I work all the time. I work 5 to 5:30. I'm up at 3:30 in the morning. But, I'm just you got to do what you got to do to get where you got to be. I grew up rough. I was homeless twice by the time I was 18, bro. I've been fighting my whole life. I just started learning how to train that ability last year.
I love to hear that, dude, because we hear so many different walks of life where people come from fighting. I mean, I got into it because I grew up with cerebral palsy and Crohn's disease. I've heard that, people getting into it because you're trying to, better your life, trying to, keep your mind preoccupied on something else that's positive. There's a million different things that you'll hear that we've heard over the years as far as, the reasons why the reasons why people want to get in there. Well, with that being said, man, you gotta tell me, where does the Aquaman nickname come from?
Man, it's crazy. It's silly. So my very first fight, my nickname was White Chocolate.
We used to call my brother-in-law that shit too.
But I ain't like that one too much, I didn't really have a nickname because growing up, my nickname was Jack Frost. Like I got it tatted on my arms, Jack Frost. I was like the lightest dude in the hood, so they called me Frost because I was like a snowflake, right? So, but my second fight on down, somebody called me Aquaman because we had a dude named Eli Mumford, and he was about to fight in Bellator, and we was doing like some real hard training sessions in there, but every time everybody was about to quit, I was like, one more rep. I forced everybody to work out a little bit more. And then, we was in there at 5 in the morning. We was in there, then we leave and we come back, later on that night, and we put in another couple hours. But it was like, I would always go to the deep end like I do in my training. I'll always go to the extent that I can go, and then I push harder so that, I go as hard as I can, and I push even further past that, because that's where you really find yourself in those moments where you have nothing else but your heart,
Respect it, man. With that being said, like, again, I checked into your record. You've got a few more fights, at least on the record, than Joey's got. Do you think that that's going to be a big difference for you inside the Mitten Muay Thai ring this weekend?
Well, I think I'm not too sure on this, so don't take it as Bible. But I think me and Joey fought the same day in January or some shit like that. But I fought 4 times since then. So I'm a little more active in there. I know Proven Ground trains hard. I know Nick. He's I don't know him, but I know of him.
You know of him.
Yeah, he's a real strategic fella. Real good coach. I know they train hard up there. I know it's gonna be a really tough fight. Really, really good fight. But I mean, as far as like ring experience, he's I'm from Detroit, but he's a hometown guy. He's got a lot of family and shit up there. So I mean, I already know I'm gonna walk out to a lot of boos. But it seemed like every fight, I'm like the B side. Like I got a belt here in Lexington NLC, and I feel like I'm the B side sometimes in those fights, But like I'm used to that. It kind of fires me up. But I think ring rust is a thing for him. Maybe the first round, it'll be a thing for him, but I don't know if it'll affect him too much. But his style's different than mine. Styles make fights. I don't know. I'm interested to see how it plays out. For real, I'm blessed to be a part of the promotion. That's it, really,
I like it, dude. I got to tell you, obviously, we just played the promo video for your guys leading up to the fight. First time I've done some voiceover stuff, so shout out to Phil and them for doing all that. But, with that being said, bro, that leads to beg the question. I watched the promo. I've been paying attention to you guys talking back and forth before this fight, and this fight was one that was specifically pointed out to me by Phil that would be a good one to bring on the show to kind of bring some hype for this event. So with that being said, man, you got to tell me. I watched the promo video. We just played the promo video. What's the deal? Is there like y'all got some bad blood already or what? Because I heard a lot of fucking name calling back and forth. What's really good? What's the story?
It's a fight, man. We building it up. We got to get it where it got to go. You know what I mean? Like, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Joey's smiling his ass off over there. So
I ain't
gonna
lie. I like his style, man. So it kind of like it brought me out my comfort zone because I wasn't talking shit, and I seen like how they pushing it, and I really respected Mitten Muay Thai. But I gotta talk my shit too. I know you talking his shit, bro. So it's just pretty dope how we about to get in here and beat each other the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? For real.
I'm with it. I'm looking forward to being on the mic for that one. But hey, I say it all the time. We literally just talked about this. We just for those of you guys who are new here, it looks like we got about 100 of you guys watching right now. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check it out and let people know what's going on. But it's funny you say that because you immediately when you're talking about a fight automatically talk about experience. What's going to be the difference with all that stuff. The thing of it is, at the end of the day, y'all got to get in there and fight. And we talk about it all the time with us being a pro wrestling show as well. I say it all the time. Everything is pro wrestling. All right. If you pay attention to like the MMA fights people want to see, perfect example. Look at what happened with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. All they did was talk shit for a couple months. And they just had one of the biggest streams that Netflix has ever had, even though the stream didn't work half the time. So, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you don't want to be known for just talking shit, but at the same time, they always talk about in wrestling how you got to talk, you got to talk people into seats. And Corey, I know you've been checking out some of this stuff. I don't know about you, bro, but I'm looking forward to seeing these boys scrap after this promo thing.
Yeah, like you say too, Kyle. What I really like with Mitten Muay Thai is they do a really good job of bringing these guys to kind of the media forefront. You know what I mean? No offense, but a lot of you guys haven't done the whole media train. You haven't had the whole media run and stuff like that. And for them to be able to bring guys like yourselves into the video packages and stuff like that and actually incorporate your personalities into the fight as well. I think that's a really good job on both you guys and what they're able to bring.
For sure.
Oh yeah, man. Well, we mentioned that everything is like pro wrestling. The last question I got for you before I flip the script, and we're gonna get to know Joey a little bit over here. But we also double as a pro wrestling show. You know, we just covered everything with TNA Bound for Glory here. We just got to chop it up with the champ Nick Nemeth, formerly Dolph Ziggler, and a lot of the big names over there at TNA. So you got to tell me, do you rock with the world of pro wrestling? If so, who?
I mean, I ain't gonna say I currently watch it because the only thing I watch is like I'm always in the gym and I work, but when I watch One Championship every Friday, I watch reruns of One Championship. That's the only thing that occupies my time. It's the only thing that's on my timeline. Like I watch a little UFC, like these cards has been hyped, but the only thing, it's just not my thing right now. I watch Muay Thai.
Totally feel it.
Them Muay Thai fights that they put on, them things are them Friday morning fights are nasty, man.
Oh, crazy.
I'll be
hungry.
I'll be at work on my way driving in between jobs and just sitting there watching them. I'm like, oh shit, oh fuck, man! Like,
fire.
It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting here watching fucking two fucking Thai guys just go at it. I'm like, this is a wild way to start my morning. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is. Wake you
Corey,
up.
you gotta, hey man, you gotta come out this weekend, bro, because like I said, these are fun to watch up tight. And I mean, we also, you know, you heard in one of the other promo videos, I heard somebody dropped a $5,000 bet on Mason Salahi over here. Somebody's got more money to blow than I do, but I'm just gonna say, I mean, again, I was on the call for the last one, and that spinning back elbow was fucking nice. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna knock somebody out and can do it with some style points. Win, lose, or draw, I want to see what's going to happen on that one. Just like I want to see what's going to happen with this one. Like I said, I'm looking forward to getting there. This is Mitten Muay Thai 4. I got to do the last one at Masonic Temple, and I was at the last one for the Imperial House. I'm looking forward to a bunch of these fights. The only one that was a bummer is one of my old teammates got cut off this card because his opponent had to back out. But yeah, dude, if you guys are in the Michigan area, Mitten Muay Thai is definitely something you want to check out live, something you need to be at. And like I said, man, this was one of the ones that Phil pointed out to me off the rip, so I'm looking forward to seeing these guys get at it. James, I'm going to flip the script real quick. Before I do that, I'm going to tell you about our other sponsors, Potter's Tree Service, and then we're going to get right back at it with Joey's side of things, and we'll bring both guys back into the action in a few minutes. Let's see what we got from the homies over here at Potter's Tree Service. If you are in the need for tree trimming, storm damage cleanup, walnut logging, get your grass cut. If you need somebody to trim your trees or any of that kind of stuff, you don't got to call Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You just got to call the homie Asa Potter at Potter's Tree Service. Use them links in the description. He'll get you together. You won't even need to go to Home Depot to get you a 2x4. You'll be looking like old Hacksaw when Asa and Potter's Tree Service are in the area. Like I said, they can hook you up anywhere you need to be, and he supports a lot of the local fighters. So you know the deal. We got to support one of our own. So make sure you check out the homies at Potter's Tree Service. All right. Now let's flip the script a little bit. Now we're flipping to the other side of this thing. We've got the other end of this fight. We've got Joey Kalaj on, man. I appreciate you coming through, man. How are you feeling about this fight, and how are you feeling headed into Mitten Muay Thai?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. You know, I had a tough, hard camp. You know, gave it my all. You know, put in my hours in the gym. Yeah, I'm feeling good about it.
Hell yeah, man. I've heard a lot of things because I know you train at Proving Grounds. My old coach trains there. He says that he's seen some stuff from you and said that you were somebody I needed to watch out for. My old coach, shout out to Big Don Richard.
Yeah, Don's that dude.
Hey, Don's been with me, dude, since I was 16 years old, bro. I remember I was at Don's last MMA fight.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Don's that dude, man.
Yeah, I remember Don's nose being on this side of his face, and then he broke his hand on dude's forehead and still managed to choke him out. It was a good time.
Yeah, he's a crazy man.
This is true. I'm just saying, if he could have been in the heavyweight division right now, I totally feel like he would have been in the UFC because it was the heavyweight division is kind of running sparse. I'm just putting that out in the ether. But that's not what we're here to talk about. So the same as I talked about with James, you got to tell me how'd you get into the game of fighting? Are you trying to just stick to kickboxing? Like what brought you in, or are you going to ever switch over to the MMA side of things?
So how I actually got into fighting in general is it was a while ago, back when I I got jumped actually. Me and a few of my friends. It was over, something that shouldn't even happen, over some random bullshit. We were
It
all just in a
always
group
is.
chat. Yeah, we're just all in a group chat. Young dumb kids. Once the other group is talking, my group is talking. We're like, you know what? Let's meet up. Fuck it. Let's fight. And it just went from there. I remember, showing up and like I felt scared. I'm like, this is a different feeling. I'm terrified. I don't want to fight. And then I still ended up fighting. And I just remember after that, I'm just like, man, like I don't want to feel that feeling again, like of being scared fighting. So I was researching gyms, and I found a local boxing gym nearby, and I started boxing originally for like yeah. I had a few boxing fights too. I didn't really love boxing that much, and I was actually about to stop fighting like completely in general. I remember one day I came to the gym, and I was just gonna pick up my stuff and be like, yeah, this ain't for me, just pick up my stuff, leave. And then that's the same day I met my coach Nick, and then he introduced me to Muay Thai, and then I'm like, whoa, like this is crazy. Like this is something totally new now. Throwing kicks, throwing elbows, and I fell in love with it ever since. And then I don't have any desire to do anything else but Muay Thai now.
I like that. See, now I love the fact that you're a big fan of the Muay Thai fights. I mean, they definitely bring something different than MMA, but it's crazy. That's interesting to hear you say that you want to do strictly Muay Thai, because I know it's a lot harder to get fights there, especially in Muay Thai. You have to fight so many times, whether you're talking, tournaments or, just smoker shows or whatever the case. Shout out to Mitten Muay Thai for being around, because it's now given a, another platform for guys to fight. But with that being said, that's as good a question as any. Like, what's the game plan then if kickboxing is going to be your main discipline? Because like I said, it's got to be a lot harder to get fights or move up to where you're making anything.
Yeah, I mean, now that thankfully for Mitten, it's not going to be hard to get fights no more. They're trying to put on, fights every few months. I think it's a great thing now. I don't have to travel that much for fights. Is that like same as James? Like, I always had to travel to fights. I was always at that B-side fighter too, so I know that feeling as well. So that's why it's great to like finally, when I fought at home for the first time, it was the first time I had a crowd with me. I'm like, whoa, this is sick. I love that now.
I definitely love the vibe of what we're seeing at Mitten Muay Thai so far. It's got a real Fight Club type feel to it. So I'm definitely looking forward to being back in the building. But that's another thing we got to talk about. You mentioned that Don. I obviously did the voiceover for that promo. But with that being said, there's a lot of people talking that you're going to be one of the strikers at this weight class that needs to be looked out for in the state of Michigan. And you talked about having a hard time getting fights. What is it that puts you above a lot of the people here in the state? And how do you plan to make that work for you come this Saturday?
Yeah. Well, it's my work ethic. I train harder than the majority of people out there. I put in my hours. I push myself to absolute limit. I'm traveling to get good training too. Like I lived in London for a month and a half to train with Christian Knowles and John Haggerty and Liam Nolan. And I spent the whole month and a half with those guys trying to, soak up as much knowledge as I can and bring it back here, share it with my teammates too, like build my team up, like all of us, we all learn from it.
Well,
that's got to be a wild trip, I imagine.
It was a wild trip, humbling trip too.
I could imagine, man. Watching the shows them all them guys are able to put on, man. There's got to be a lot to be learned in a room like that.
Yeah, it was learned a lot out there, that's for sure.
Well, you talked about how you've had a hard time getting fights. Why do you think that is? Number one, do you think it's just because of the scene in kickboxing? Or do you feel like a lot of that's got to do with the striking prowess? And with that said, what does that say about your opponent, James Barney, for taking this fight?
Yeah, like so it was hard, especially when I first started. Muay Thai was hard finding fights. There wasn't that many out there. It was during COVID time. So like the first 2 years was really nothing. Now I think there's if you really look, there's fights everywhere now, but I was just dealing with a lot of injuries in this last year and a half, especially. Like I had a shoulder injury. I had to take a couple months off, and I had a broken toe. I had to take another few months off. Couldn't walk. So I was mostly just bad of my own body. for my fights.
I totally can feel that sentiment as I fought too and have Crohn's disease, so it makes weight cutting fun. But with that said, dude, I mean, like we said, you guys both are eager to get in here. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. We're going to bring James back here in a second. I'm going to close the show with questions for both of you guys.
Okay.
Anybody who's checking this out, make sure you guys comment along if you've got anything for either one of these guys. But same question to you. Like I said, we double as a pro wrestling show as well. So you got to put me on game. Did you ever rock with wrestling at all? If so, who?
I can say I'd never really watched wrestling like that. I don't really know too much about it.
Corey, you being the MMA guy, you got to tell me though. It's ironic that these might be two of the first guys that we've had on that are MMA fighters or bare knuckle fighters that said they don't or didn't at some point. Because I feel like everybody says they've got at least something on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, most of the guys my age, at least the 31s, the early 30s, we can all speak to the fact of like, hey, that we grew up in that time where it was a little more that generation just below us, like my brother and stuff like that, the 24, 25, they didn't grow up where it was quite as popular. So there wasn't that like immediate push to find it. Like there was, not everybody was talking about it at school when they were growing up and shit like it was when we were. So it's less surprising when I hear the younger guys say that, that's not really something in their world. You know what I mean?
I feel it. Like I said, it's just funny because we talked about this last week with BYB Extreme CEO Greg Bloom, who just came through. Check that out on Millions or YouTube or wherever you check any of that out. Great chat with him. But it's just funny. Like I've always known this, being a fan of both and having fought myself. But it's just so funny how those two like fan bases are always intertwined. So now it's like almost become like a part of the show where you almost gotta find out, because then the other thing too is even like look at a guy like Michael Chandler who just fought last weekend. I mean, he might not always have the best win-loss record, but the guy cuts his promos like he's in fucking pro wrestling when the fights are over, dude.
Yeah. At the end of that fight, the way they gave him the mic, you'd have thought he was a winner. That's for sure.
I mean, look, all I'm saying is that shout out to Michael Chandler, who is also a past guest of the show. But yeah, dude, we need to get him back in the win column. But now that we've gotten all the pleasantries and all those kind of things out of the way, we got to talk about business this weekend. We got to talk about Mitten Muay Thai 4. James, you've been on the sideline real quick while we were getting to know Joey a little bit better and things of that nature. So you got to tell me, dude, what I think both of you guys are getting in here to see a fight. But with that being said, bro, you got to tell me, is it, you said that there's not necessarily such a beef, but y'all are getting in there to fight. You got to give me the 411. What are your thoughts on Joey as an opponent, and how do you think this fight's going to play out? Are we getting out of this one quick? Is this going to be a fight to the finish? What do you think we see this weekend?
It ain't going 5 rounds, I'll tell you that.
I like it. That's the way I like to hear it, man. It sounds like we're coming in for a finish. I mean, Joey, the same question to you, man. What are your thoughts on James as an opponent, and how do you see this fight playing out?
I know James is tough, but he's in the ring with me. I don't think it's all 5 rounds either.
I like it. Go ahead.
I think it's gonna be fight of the night. If us and Coleman, I think gonna be fucking bangers. But
I agree with that.
There's gonna be a lot of blood in ours, though, for sure.
Okay, so are either one of you guys planning on trying to do the Taporia and doing like the thing? I shouldn't even say the Taporia. That's the Max Holloway.
Yeah,
Max Holloway. I corrected myself, sir. I corrected myself.
Don't do my boy Max like that, man. That's dirty, dude.
Dude, I know, dude. And then Taporia didn't even really like realize the point of like the finger point. Are you guys both looking forward? Do you think this is going to be like more of a brawl style fight? Do you think it's going to be who's the better technician out of everybody? Is there, for both of you guys, is there something like, is there one thing in particular, is there one thing in particular that's going to make either one of you guys stand out? Whoever.
I don't know. I'm going wherever he takes it, wherever I want to take it. See, things change in the fight so much. Like, in 1 second in a fight, I have 1,001 thoughts. So I don't know wherever it goes. I try not to plan too much. I'm gonna hit him with some shit. Try not to get hit with some shit. And we're gonna do that.
Yeah, same thing with me. I take what I see. If I see something, I'm gonna take it.
All right, so you got to tell me. So, like I said, we've been watching the promo, and this goes for both of you guys as well. So, when you guys are stepping in that ring, are you guys the type of fighter where you got to like find something in the guy that kind of gets to you, or is it just it's business thing? Are you guys gonna, after this is over, are you guys the type that you want to go catch a drink with the opponent? What's the vibes on the mentality for this fight with both of you guys?
Go ahead. I can't drink because I got to fight a couple weeks after this. So, I'm done to the new year. I'm cooked. But nah, I mean, go ahead.
I live it all in the ring, man. Like, there's no genuine hate in my heart for anybody. I'm first and foremost, like, I'm a believer of God, so I got no genuine hate in my heart for anybody. It don't matter. If he wants to get drink after, I'll get drink after. But apparently, he's got to fight after. He's got to fight in a few weeks after too.
Hey man, trying to get them bouts in. I like it, man. I came up in the Wild West days of Michigan, bro, where you'd see like the same people fight every other fucking week.
Yeah, I'm enjoying my Christmas though.
Yeah. So like, I think it's just like we amateurs, man. So when I go pro, it's just all. It's experience, bro. I'm trying to get in there with every different style, see what I could do, learn some shit. That's really all it is, just learn some shit. I try to learn something every day. I'm going to learn something from him. He going to learn something from me. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to go to the next, So
that's the fight game.
I guess that's my biggest question. I mean, win, lose, or draw on both your guys' end. What do you think fighting at this level, and like I was saying earlier with like the media attention and stuff like that, what do you think something like this kind of does for your guys' career?
I really think it's bringing a lot of eyes to Muay Thai. I really appreciate the fact that Muay Thai is taking off in America. I don't know, man, like I did on the last fight. Like I wouldn't have came in that Sunday and recorded if they didn't send nobody, but like I would have been back in the gym Monday. Like even in the wins, I stay humble enough to be like, okay, what did I do wrong? Like I said, I have 1,001 thoughts in the fight, and I'm like, there was moments like he dropped me first round. You know what I'm saying? I came back and knocked him out third round, but it was like, why did I get dropped? It's just like back to the drawing board. You got to work on shit. There's always something to work on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm back in there right after the fight on Monday.
Yeah, fighting is never like ending learning experience. You're always learning something new in fighting, and always humbles you no matter what. No matter how good you think you did in a fight, it'll always humble you. You go back, you watch your video, you're like, oh, wow, I thought I looked a lot better than that,
Yeah.
Always room for improvement, that's for sure.
Yeah, always.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to one of the most cliche sayings that you'll ever hear somebody really say when it comes to fighting. I mean, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. You can go in there thinking that you're going to do this, that, the third, or that one, and then dude comes in there and comes out with a flurry in the first 30 seconds of the round and cracks you, and it goes from I was going to do this to, oh, shit, I need to wake up. Otherwise, this is going to end. This is going to end quick. So, I mean, even though it's the most cliche statement that you'll hear in the world, man, it's funny because it's the most truest statement in the world. You find out in a fight quickly what somebody's made of quick and in a hurry. As soon as they get touched, it's like the old saying, you either back the fuck up or you get the fuck in. It goes one way or the other. There's no way, no way to dance around it, especially with all those people that are watching and stuff like that. Speaking of, things people were watching, I got to get some thoughts because it's the first time we've been on the show since this past weekend. Did you guys watch the Paul versus Tyson fight? What were your thoughts on that? And if you checked out UFC, what do you think on what we've seen from John Jones and Stipe? And we've already mentioned Michael Chandler, but if you guys checked out any of those fights, what did you guys think?
Yes, I only watched the Jake Paul and the Mike Tyson fight. Honestly, it went exactly how I expected. Like Mike Tyson's 6 years old. Like, how do you expect him to hang with a guy? How old was Jake? Like 27. How do you expect him to hang with a man that's 27, has all the time training in the world, is young? Like you can't hang with that. It doesn't matter, your past experience. You're 6 years old. You can't move like you used to. Can't take the pain as you used to as well.
Can't argue that. James, did you check out any of the fights?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on the fights, man. That's all I watch now, but I watched the Paul and Tyson fight. They had a couple good undercard fights, but I think the Serrano and the Taylor fight was absolutely
Was a banger. Who did you have winning that fight? That's what I want to know.
Serrano. The way
All
she
day.
Okay, that's exactly what I said. All right.
But
Yeah,
I
all
mean,
day.
judges see different when you there. I guess when you there and you see the energy is different. The energy kind of consumes. So I don't know. I think the judges judged it wrong, but that's not for me to decide. But Mike Tyson, I appreciate Paul. No matter what he is as a person, but I mean, he's bringing eyes to the sport that never watched the sport. He's bringing money to fighters that he's bringing big checks. Like Mike Tyson walked off. For those female boxers, he got them checks when they was only making 20,000. So I mean, like he is doing something for the sport in a positive way, whether he's cringy or not. Whether he's got aura. I didn't like how he walked out with that car. That car is fucking cheesy, but it is what it is. But
he just had to play Eddie Guerrero's theme. It would have been all right.
Not to interrupt real quick, but while you were talking about what he's done and stuff for the sport, we have had two different people at your level and stuff like that, the amateurs and stuff like that, people with a couple fights and stuff, and both of them have talked about working with him and experiences with him and how it's been nothing but positive, and how, like you say, they've gotten paid well for their small roles and what they've done for him. So, but continue on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
I really respect what he's doing in that aspect as far as being a businessman, how much he's built, what he's done for people is amazing. Like his brother built the prime shit. Like that shit is cool as fuck. Hopefully I can build a legacy like that in the end. But I did watch the UFC fights. I watched the undercard, the under prelims. I watched the prelims. There was a lightweight fight, Onama and Rodriguez. That was
Onama is a dog.
Dude, and then Rodriguez took that fight on short notice and came out there and gave him the work. But I was like, it's just levels to this. You either got it or you don't. Some people like saying they did it just to say they did it. You just got to have that oomph, or you don't. Right? That fight was amazing. The Michael Chandler fight, it is Michael Chandler. That's what he does, I guess. But I'm ready for Oliveira. I want him to fight for the belt. I like him.
I think Dana said whoever won that fight was getting the next title shot. So it should be.
Him and Islam, that's a style versus style. That's amazing. John Jones, that's John Jones. That's John Bones. But I halfway wanted Stipe to win, but so he could go out with that legacy win. But I mean, it's he came out looking old too. He looked like Mike. It was.
That was my big thing when the fight was over. Is like at this, I've been a Stipe guy. Speaking of Big Don Joey, Don helped Stipe train for a few of those fights while he was champ.
Oh, really? I didn't know that part.
Man. Yeah, he helped. I know for a fact he helped Stipe with a few of those training camps. Him being a heavyweight himself.
I know Don knows a lot of people.
Yeah, he's been around the game for a while, man. Go back and look at his record and look at some of those names. I'm sure you're going to recognize a few. But with that being said, dude, that's what's so funny with these fights is it's like on one hand, at least for me, like I look at it like this. Like both of you guys were saying, I don't think anyone who really expected that we were really going to get the old Tyson and the Jake Paul fight, I don't know what you were really thinking. Now, did I skill for skill? If Mike could still move, I think it would have been a much better fight. But I remember telling somebody as soon as I saw him walk up the stairs, I'm like, oh shit, his legs don't look that good. And anyone who knows anything about boxing or just Mike Tyson's style, his whole way of being able to do everything was able to move in and out, able to throw, load up on those left hooks. If you don't have the power in your legs, you can't throw the left hooks. Like he had before. And I was happy for Stipe to get the shot, being that I feel like Stipe has always historically got the shit end of the stick, really, if we're being honest. Like, as far as when he was champion, Dana White's saying now that he's the greatest heavyweight of all time, but they weren't talking that way when he was champ. You know what I mean? So, like, my big thing is I'm not mad at how he went out. I just hope that he got paid for it. But with that said, this question really goes to both of you guys. What do you guys think about the now possibility of them talking about John Jones versus Tom Aspinall? Do you think that it's something where John is scared of him, which I don't, or do you think it's just one of those things he's just trying to call a shot? Because I think he's probably going to fight like 2, maybe 3 more times tops. and I could see him trying to pick it out, but that's been the narrative, and it hasn't helped of how much Dana's hyped it up. So what do you guys think? Do you think we'll see Tom versus John Jones?
I think we'll see it. I mean, I don't think John Jones is scared of him, I think it's just basically what you said. He just wants to pick his shots, really.
Yeah, chasing the biggest check that he can find.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. I thought there was some real possibility that he ended his career on a legacy fight with this Stipe fight over the weekend. But with that not being the case now, and with him kind of dangling the carrot and kind of making it well known that wasn't necessarily the last one, now I feel totally differently. Like you say, Kyle, I think we could even see a second one after this next one. So that being said, I think it's just how much money can I get out of doing this is basically what it's boiling down to at this stage in his career.
I think the biggest payday that the fans want to see is John Jones versus Pereira, right? But Tom Aspinall, he did earn that belt. He defended it as well. That would be a really good fight, but to Jones's end, I think the biggest payday is Pereira versus Jones. Everybody wants to see that. Who's the best, pound for pound? Pereira came in from kickboxing and dominated the sport, right? I don't know. It's too much money in the field for me to even have an opinion on it. But
so it's two things, man. Like, number one, I totally understand John wanting to pick his shots. I get that. I understand wanting the fight that's going to make you the most money. Obviously, like you just mentioned, Poatan is definitely the more polarizing name of the two of those if he's going to, pick a fight. But the UFC, in my opinion, has backed themselves into a corner, and I'd love to hear what both of you guys, think off of this. But, we were talking about Don, how there's not the overwhelming supply of heavyweights in 2024. That's on the regional scene, that's on the UFC, that's in everywhere. Like, I feel like that's evident by the lack of stars and contenders we have at heavyweight. The reason that I say that UFC has kind of backed themselves into a corner is because if you think about this, it's really kind of similar to what happened with Francis Ngannou. You got Francis Ngannou, who's the only one that can say he beat Stipe and he beat DC. And, that was like, he was the heavyweight champ. So John Jones never is going to get the chance with Stipe. The reason, or not Stipe, I meant to say Francis. With that said, the reason why I feel like they're backed into a corner is you got to look at it like this. So say John says, fuck it, I'm not fighting him and I'm going to go fight Alex Pereira. Well, now you just made Tom Aspinall's heavyweight title not look like shit, because if he wasn't big enough for Jones to take that fight, in my opinion, it diminishes that title. But the other part of that makes this so interesting to me is that they're really in a lose-lose situation if you think about it. Because if Tom Aspinall goes out there and smokes John Jones or able to beat John Jones like he has everybody else, now you've backed yourself into the corner where, okay, maybe you've got a new star at heavyweight, but now you just killed the biggest star overall that you have, given the fact that Conor McGregor, who knows when the fuck he's going to get back in the cage. So if they run that fight and Tom wins, well, now you just killed off John Jones. But on the flip side of that, to your point, James, Tom's already gone through and beaten pretty much all the big names at heavyweight in the UFC already. So if you have him go and beat all those guys and then John just smashes him, well, now you just killed off the whole rest of the heavyweight division. Because what do I need to see him fight all them other guys for if the guy that beat them all, he just smoked him? So I feel like either way it goes, they kind of backed themselves into a corner to where if Jones wins, you killed the heavyweight division. If Jones loses, you might have a new heavyweight star, but the rest of the division, or the biggest star that you have in the UFC right now, is now out the way. What do you guys think about that?
I think, in my opinion, the Stipe fight and John Jones, that was in writing for a while, but in my opinion, it should have been Tom versus John Jones for the belt to begin with. I won't speak for everybody else, but I didn't want to see a Stipe versus Jones. I wanted to see a Tom Aspinall versus Jones for the belt. It's only right because he earned the belt and defended it. But Tom Aspinall is a different beast. The way he moves, he moves like a welterweight. You know what I mean? He's a monster. He hits hard. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They're kind of like pushing him away, but again, when there's money on the field and you got somebody like John Jones, I don't know, to be honest. It's a gimmick.
I agree with you 100% that I would have liked. I mean, I think Tom Aspinall is like the next deserving challenger, but I'm also not mad at it just because of Stipe's resume. But Joey, what do you think about this one, man? Because to me, there's only two ways the heavyweight division goes after this.
Mm-hmm. And like, I honestly, like, I don't really follow too much in the UFC or MMA scene that much, but the fight I would like to see personally is Alex versus Jones. Like, I just think that would be badass. Just, that's just me personally, because I don't follow too much in the scene. I don't really know too much of the other heavyweights, so I don't really know what they're gonna do about that.
Dude, Corey, what do you think about my thoughts about how they backed themselves into a corner? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I disagree in a sense, especially if Tom wins, because even though he has beat most of what would be the up and coming contenders for him, I feel like there's always a way where the UFC has a really good way of putting guys in main events. You win one or two of those, and next thing you know, you're the next hot shit that everybody wants to see and fight for the belt.
I do agree with that. Like, at the end of the day, like, Dana's a really good businessman. He's gonna figure something out.
Yeah.
So I don't think they back themselves in the corner, in my opinion.
If Tom wins, I think that argument becomes a lot more valid if he loses, because then, like you say, oh, this is who else you got? Where like it's less that case if you have the young guy that potentially holds the belt for a lot longer. Now, yet again, what kind of amazes me is how big of a star Pereira has really kind of become. Like, honestly, like when I first started watching him, I was like, man, this guy, I mean, he's got the power in each hand, and you can tell he's just like, his demeanor is really intimidating. I mean, you can see it in a lot of the way that the opponents fight him and stuff. They look scared sometimes, to deal with him. So, but to see where he's at now, where he's the guy that everybody's asking for, he's the guy. Every time a main event gets canceled for a pay-per-view, he's usually the one stepping up to fill in that slot against X, Y, or Z and putting on an entertaining fight and getting a knockout in it. So I don't disagree with why people feel that way, but I just think Aspinall, for somebody like me who does watch in and out every week, like you were saying, Joey, I understand for more of the the sideline perspective, but I feel like it's Aspinall's fight. It should be.
Yeah.
At this point, it has to be his fight. I mean,
well, a lot of people though are saying Poatan, John Jones included. He's like, I would almost rather fight him because it's a bigger star, which in his case, probably an easier fight because he's.
Oh, it's definitely an easier fight because John Jones has got half a brain. He's going to take him down,
and potentially a bigger pay-per-view, which he's going to have.
Oh, it's definitely a bigger pay-per-view.
I don't know if it's definitely though. I feel like there is a big following for Aspinall, and I feel like Aspinall's also garnered a huge following in his own right, and because it's the two heavyweights, the John Jones going to be tested against the young guy that has beat everybody. It fills in a lot of blanks, but at the same time, it's not somebody who's filled in every. What did he fight 4 or 5 times last year? I mean, and as a champ,
he was the quickest to 2 championships, and he did it in 8 fights.
Yeah, so. And he's not only that, he's beat so many former champs on the way to it. It's hard to argue with. I mean, to be real.
I'm looking forward to it. I want to see how it goes either way. All I'm saying is if Tom wins, it'll reinvigorate the heavyweight division. But man, if John Jones wins, I just feel like that just puts them in a big hole because that's the biggest star they got. If Tom Aspinall can't beat him and he's already ran through the rest of them, man, that's gonna be nasty. But with that being said, we've kept you off for a minute. If either one of you guys got last minute words for your opponent or your thoughts on the fight or where they could check you out, y'all can go first. Joey, since you had to sit out the first part, I'll let you go first.
No, man, I got nothing else to say. Saturday's a day. See you in weigh-ins, and that's pretty much it for me.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
That's it, bro. See you at the weigh-ins. And
Yeah.
Get in there and make it do what it do, dog.
Yeah, see you then.
You done heard it.
boys.
November 23rd, Imperial House. Make sure you check it out. Mitten Muay Thai 4. They're giving me a fucking microphone, and they asked me to wear a suit. So it looks like I'm going to have to pull out the fresh to death card for these motherfuckers come Saturday. So get you a ticket. Make sure you come out. Check it out this weekend. Stay tuned. We've got another episode coming to you Thursday, and some told me it might just be lights out. Peace.